I'm Gab, he's Jules. Gray skies over West London, but that's okay because we're here to brighten things up for you.
Yes.
What a weekend it was. Paris Saint-Germain back on top in Liga 1. Inter extend their lead in Serie A. Real Madrid, big win away to
Yeah.
Villarreal, not something to be taken for granted. And in the Premier League, can we say Habemus Premier? I Premier? I don't know. Because Arsenal's lead down to 4 points. City and then probably Villa and Newcastle both win. Villa joint second in the table. How about that, Unai Emery? But let's go with the big one. Arsenal beaten by Manchester United 3-2. You can look at this and say the 3 United goals, 2 of them were improbable worldies.
Incredible,
Guy
yeah.
shoots from a million yards out. Talented players, but low probability. The other one was a gift. Nothing to see here. It's fine. Arsenal scored 2 goals. They were just unlucky. Is that reductive?
A little bit, but it's also true. And even Michael Carrick admitted it, Mikel Arteta, everybody. I was at the game, everybody in the stadium could see it. It was obvious. Outside of that, there's a couple of good transitions from Manchester United in the first half. But the first half hour, the first 30 minutes until the own goal by Martinez, there was just one team on the pitch. Arsenal were almost perfect in the way they defended. With the ball in terms of control, like they didn't create that much apart from the header from Zubimendi, but they were great. And then it looked like they stopped playing, or suddenly it looked like United finally got into the game with more intensity, with the block slightly higher, and tried to make something happen. And they got lucky with the Zubimendi mistake, of course, but before that, there was a Saliba mistake that Bruno almost took advantage
That was
of.
really bad.
I think he just didn't know it was there, hadn't scanned, didn't know, thought there was nobody that Raya would come out, but Raya obviously didn't come out for reason that because Bruno was there. So unusual for Arsenal to be a bit sloppy after they took the lead, because so far this season, in the 24 games where they took the lead,
one.
yeah, they always won. And I think that goal from Mbeumo kind of changed the dynamic for the second half, of course.
Arteta said something to the effect of it's a game of small margins, and the way we played made the margins even smaller, which I took to mean on probability, Arsenal still should have won this game, but they hurt themselves and they gave United a bigger probability of winning. I want to talk about United though, because I was really impressed. Look, it's his second game. I mean, he said 4 or 5 training sessions.
Yeah.
I was really impressed by the fact that there's a lightness to the way United play. And this goes beyond, I think, just changing managers, because of course, it's not like Amorim left yesterday. You had the Darren Fletcher period in between. I was struck by the fact that he kept the same 11, which means leaving Sesko and Cunha on the bench. That's like $150 odd million worth of strikers that you arrived just 6 months ago. So clearly, this setup is not a long-term solution. When Carrick thinks, he's thinking, I need to integrate these guys into my starting lineup. But for this game, it was the right call. Unshackling Dorgu, using his pace.
But it's still, you're not going to change the team that beat Manchester City. It'd be stupid from him. Same team, same style of play, same game plan. And it worked the same way, really.
Would it be stupid because you're playing? I mean,
100%.
City and Arsenal are both, other than the fact that they're both good teams, they played a very different brand of football, right? And it's also different being at home and being away.
Yeah, but that was the only difference, being at home or away. But it makes a lot of sense for him to keep the same team and play the same way. That's exactly what he did. And to be fair, their defensive structure was as good against Arsenal away than it was at home to City the week before. I was really impressed. Okay, we can say they scored 3 goals from an expected goals of 0.7. So well done to them. But I still think out of possession, they were very good. That midfield 3 works great. In possession, out of possession. And Shaw defended well on the left-hand side. Dalot defended well on the right-hand side too. And it was not always perfect because they were under pressure. But still, I thought there was a lot of, again, encouragement. And it'd be different when they have to have the ball for 70% instead of having it for 30%, like we've just seen.
This is the thing, right? They've played 2 very good teams,
Absolutely.
are first and second in the table. And it's the old thing, it's easier to go and be reactive. And then what happens when you go and play Nottingham Forest or whatever. But still, what I liked is the fact that he's put faith in certain players.
Yeah.
Like, Dorgu
he's lost Dorgu now to clearly a hamstring problem. So even if he's cramped, I don't think he can play next weekend. So he will have to change something there for the next game, inevitably.
Yeah, you put Mbeumo on the wing and play Matthias Cunha up front, or
the
Sesko,
other
or the other way around, or whatever. But it seemed to me he's emphasized speed, which is probably why Cunha wasn't starting over Dorgu. And he's gotten that response. Even the much maligned Kobe Mainu looks regenerated.
Absolutely.
But we're going to break this all down further on the Gavin Jones podcast. So, all right, I'm going to run this past you. This is what I wrote in my musings column on Monday. There's going to be a lot of noise around Arteta and around Arsenal, and why can't they be more attacking? Should they be more attacking? We've all seen this stat from the weekend that Arsenal's top scorer this season in the league are Gyökeres and Trossard. They both have scored 5 goals, which means they're on pace to score 8 goals. Nobody has ever won the Premier League without a double-digit leading goal scorer. However, again, even those lists of the ones that have had, the ones that have had the lowest sort of totals for leading goal scorer, you have people like Lampard, like De Bruyne, like Gundogan up there. So you don't even necessarily need a center forward to provide those goals. You just need to score those goals. I'm going to come right out and say it. This does not concern me one bit if I'm Arsenal. What would concern me is that am I scoring goals overall? And obviously they're scoring a lot of set pieces and whatever. That is what matters. Do you agree, or is it do you need to have one guy like carrying the can?
No, I think ideally if you can have a goal scorer, like a striker that scores you 40 goals a season and everybody else chips in, you take it.
But is that better than having 4 guys who score 10 goals? No, it makes no difference. It's just
as long as you score those goals.
Exactly.
The second best attack in the league, I think, with 42 goals. They are, I think, first for expected goals this season. So it's not that bad. But when you look at how many goals Saka has in the last 10 games or so, which is 0. If you look at Gyökeres, I think he's 1 penalty in the last 10 or so, something like that. Madueke hasn't scored this season in the league. You go down to Trossard and Gabriel, so Odegaard. So I know it's a bit difficult. But the game against Villa, okay, there's the first goal on set piece. But after that, it's nice, flowing football, good goals. Same against Inter.
I completely agree. And there's another stat we were talking about off air related to that, right? If we're talking about sort of playing good football and so on, I've always went on about how important Odegaard is to Arsenal's creativity and whatever else. I have another stat for you.
It's a good one.
attacking players, I think we both agree that Saka and Odegaard are Arsenal's 2 best attacking players, right? I mean, you can fudge that a little bit. This season, in terms of goal involvements, which are goals plus assist, they are on pace to have 18 at the end of the season between them. Last season, they had 27 between them. And last season, Arsenal were also very good. Year before that, when Arsenal also finished second, but were not as good, they had 43. Year before that, they had 47. So to me, these numbers, and obviously they had injuries this year, but they also had injuries last year. To me, those numbers, they don't say that Odegaard and Saka are getting worse. Their output has gone down, but I think there's tactical reasons and personnel reasons for that.
They wanted to rely more on them and maybe have a bit more of a balanced attack in a way. Okay, set pieces is different, but have a left-hand side that could be as well decisive of very good with that kind of input going forward. To have a number 9 also you could rely on and go more central maybe, or even Gabriel Jesus could do more in that kind of area. And that was certainly something that Mikel Arteta was thinking of, because we'd seen games in those excellent seasons that they had together where if you knew if you block that left-hand side from Arsenal, doubling up on Salah, maybe having somebody very physical on Odegaard, I don't know, whatever.
Saka.
On Saka, did I say Salah?
Yeah.
Saka.
It's good to double up on Salah too.
Salah too. Well, maybe before the season, you knew if you block that left-hand side, your left-hand side, their right-hand side, then it'd be a big chunk of Arsenal's creativity gone, really.
And I think I agree with that. I think there's another factor too, which is when Kai Havertz or Eddie Nketiah were playing up front, you had a very mobile center forward who you sort of encouraged to come short, to go wide, and whatever else. With Gyökeres, you don't want him to do that. You want him. And so if I'm Odegaard bursting from midfield, or if I'm Saka on the break, I have this large Swedish object in the box. I will probably try to serve him rather than try to take it myself. There's going to be situations, and I think it's a law of football since the beginning of time. You want your best players to take over and take charge and show that personality. go outside your scheme in certain moments when you need them. It is extremely difficult to know when and how to do that. And I think that's going to determine, one of the factors determining how Arsenal finish the season is, can Odegaard and Saka make those right decisions at the right time? I think Arteta will empower them to do that. But that is a really, really difficult call to make. I think that's a lot to do with it. That said, an hour into the game, we see Arteta making a quadruple substitution. Now, quadruple substitutions, I'm sure it's happened a couple times this season across all the football that we both watched together. But it's extremely rare. It's extremely rare after 59 minutes. What was he thinking? And you're not allowed to say, I don't know. You have to read his mind. What was the logic?
The logic was he was clearly not happy with what he was seeing. Maybe there was a bit of tiredness after playing 4 away games in a row in 12 days or so before this game. And I think I don't really buy the freshness and the tiredness as an excuse. I didn't buy it for Liverpool on the FC show on Saturday night. I'm not going to say Arsenal were tired and United were not. The fact that United have played 10 games less than Arsenal already this season, and we are in the end of January, probably maybe has something. Yes,
but Arsenal also have a deeper squad.
Yeah,
and if you break down
and
the
I
minutes,
think that
it's probably not
those
that
4
different.
substitutions shows that you've got a big squad with a lot of depth, with a lot of different options. And if you get Gyökeres, if you replace Gabriel Jesus by Gyökeres, it's a different profile that you bring on to.
You're giving a different look. You've been defending one way against this set of players. Now I'm giving you other set of players, and you have to adjust because you might defend differently against them, right? That's what.
That was more for attacking than defending, really. But that was the idea. Changing. It's unlike Arteta. I don't think he's ever done it before. There were times where he used to make his first change after the 85th minute, so this is very different. And in a way, were they better after the substitutions? Probably a little bit. They came back to 2-2, still conceded straight after the third goal. But in a way, the only thing I didn't really understand is why moving Saka from the right to the left when Madueke came on to play on the right. May as well use Martinelli on the left-hand side, because Saka on the left-hand side, I mean, he looked completely uncomfortable, and rightly so, because he's just, one, he never plays there. 2, as a left-footed left winger then, in that case, it's a very different style than a left-footed right winger like he usually is.
It looked to me like maybe crosses, maybe that's the idea. He wanted him to do more. I mean, Saka, of course, started his career as a left back, as we know, so he's not entirely unfamiliar. But that was many years ago. Again, and you're right;
that's not a left winger.
It takes so much. It takes so much out of you. And also, do you want to go with a cross-based approach when you have Harry Maguire in there?
No, maybe not.
You know, title race is 4 points. You know where this is going. I still think Arsenal, to me, look firmly in control because I have a lot of questions about City and Unai Emery's black magic only takes you so
and the
far.
goal difference is obviously much less.
Yeah, as you know, I don't believe in goal difference.
No,
I refuse to believe in it.
You do.
I believe in God, and I think God will change the Premier League should it ever come up.
Now, God hasn't changed it, so
but he hasn't had to.
Counts.
He hasn't had to, right?
It's a plus 15 swing. It's a lot.
After 93-20, I think God's like, all right, no mas.
Okay.
That said, if we had to give percentages now at this stage, based on vibes, based on what we've seen, I'll go first if you want. I think 4 points is still a lot.
Yeah.
I think City still have questions that Arteta's going to have to sort through. I think Vardiol's not coming back is a massive miss. Ruben Diaz also won't be back until March. I know Gay's there, but he still needs to settle.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, and I think 4 points, as I said, is a lot. So I'm going to go Arsenal 60, City 35, and Unai Emery, Black Magic Woman, 5%.
Yeah, I was going to say the same.
5% seems like a lot for Villa. Right?
Yeah, but I'm happy to go 60, 30, 10. No problem.
10% for Unai Emery.
Yeah, because the Black Magic can go a long, long way, you know. Arsenal were never going to win every single game between now and the end of the season in the league. Impossible. So there were always going to be drop points for a mistake, for you play against a goalkeeper that has an amazing day and you end up drawing, anything. It's the same for City. It's the same for Villa. The last thing that Arsenal should do now is panic. The reaction would be key here, not against Cara Almaty on Wednesday in the Champions League, but at Leeds on Saturday afternoon. For sure, City go to Spurs on the Sunday, and okay, Spurs are not good, but you just never know what can happen in a game like that
They have a
too.
good record against City.
Yeah, very true. So it's just there's no need to panic. Yes, it's a disappointing result. It's going to hurt for a few days. No problem because it's also against United because of the way it happens. Especially at 2-2, I think you take the draw, you take that point, and the way Merino loses the ball on that third goal is a bit soft too. But you learn from it, and you, like you said, you're still in control. 4 points.
Yeah, 4 points is a lot.
You would have taken that at the end of January at the start of the season.
What I would wonder a little bit is, and you've made this point several times about how you've said it's a poor league this year.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of teams that we can point out flaws. Other people, our friend Ted Knudsen says, no, it's actually a really good league this year. And it's just that you don't see it as much because there's good managers out there. They know how to make life difficult for you. And every game is more of a struggle. That's his view.
Yeah.
I think what's undeniable is Arsenal right now have 50 points, right?
Yeah.
Which means that they are on pace, and I'm not doing the math in my head, but since I did the math for Gyökeres's goal total,
Yeah.
it means that Arsenal will end up on around 82 points.
Yeah.
82 points, that's like a throwback to like the early 90s. That's when you used to, we're getting used to teams 90 points, 95 points, winning the title. Does that suggest that Arsenal are not that good, or does it suggest that maybe everybody else, like in saying, like, when you see that stat, does it actually lend weight to Ted's argument and that suggesting that you're maybe wrong? And it actually,
I don't think the level of I mean, I think yesterday we had 2 really good games in the Arsenal United game and the Newcastle Villa game, but we haven't had this quality a lot. The fact that, and I can probably go with Ted a little bit, but look at the goal difference outside of City and Arsenal, who are 26 plus 25 or plus 25 plus 24. Villa have plus 10. After that, between 4th and 14th is plus 6, plus 2, minus 2, minus 5,
it's not
plus
strength
1,
and depth.
plus 3, which is a sense of it being average.
I guess, like, if we were to say Arsenal are the best team in Europe or one of the 2 best teams in Europe, right? Most people would agree with that based on what we see in the Champions League. Well, if you're the best team in Europe and you're getting 82 points, I think Ted would say in your domestic league, that means that the rest of your league is also really, really good, not really bad. I guess
but
it's a philosophical argument.
It is, right? Because I think the quality that we've seen in games, and again, maybe it's because
you're talking about the aesthetic quality of what we're saying.
Yeah, the quality of the football we've seen.
It's definitely more tactical.
Yeah.
I think you see that in every game. It's more tactical. It's more defensive than it's ever been.
Yeah.
You don't have coaches you've got very few coaches making stupid mistakes.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what makes the Premier League compelling. Whether it's good or bad, another issue. We got to talk United.
Yeah, of course.
So Casemiro's announced that he's leaving at the end of the season. I don't think that's a surprise that they were not going to renew his contract. I mean, we agree it's not the right thing to renew his contract.
No. I'm not sure
of money's in his 30s.
stay either.
I think if they'd given him a new deal, I think he would have
sure.
considered it.
Next season they will have Europe, whatever form of Europe, Europa League or Champions League. He cannot play 2 games in a week. It's not like he's good now because it's just 1 game a week. Not sure how much he trains during the week either, and that's good because he's still very good. Obviously, a player of his quality. 2 or 3 games in a week, like when Champions League or Europa League would be there, not for him at his age.
Do we agree that this is replacing him or replacing that position is the single biggest priority? Because the rest of the group is Ugarte, who nobody seems to like.
No.
Kobe Mainu, who certainly the previous manager didn't seem to like, and even I think has certain physical limitations and athletic limitations in getting around the pitch. You need probably two central midfielders at a minimum.
Yeah.
Finally, up front and formation wise, we saw this 4-2-3-1. Like I said, it's a big call leaving Sesko and Matias Cunha on the bench. It's not something, if you're talking about planning for the future, no, you can't do that, right? But Michael Carrick's job is to get them in the Champions League this year, not to plan for some hypothetical future. This coming weekend, obviously with Dorgu out, they're going to have to switch things up.
Yeah.
What would you do?
I like Mbeumo in that number 9 position. I like it. I liked it because he worked against City and Arsenal and the runs in behind and against against a team that played in your own half. Fulham, who traveled to Old Trafford on Sunday, are not going to play in United's half. They're not going to have their centre backs literally 20 yards in the United half. That's not going to happen. So there won't be that space to run into for Mbomo. So maybe if you want to keep that pace out wide, you could put, let's say, Ahmad on the left and Mbomo on the right to keep Mbomo in his favorite, more likely position, and put Sesko or Cunha as a 10. I think that could work. Even Cunha on his own up front.
You say as a 10, you mean as a 9?
I mean as a 9, sorry. On his own there, Cunha could work too, because I think he's just that good anyway. But maybe a more traditional number 9 like Sesko for a game like that is better suited, but then he's short on confidence.
Fulham knocking on the door, and they're up to 7th now in the Premier League. And Ricardo Pepi could be on his way. We're going to talk about that later.
Yeah.
I think you would expect Marco Silva's Fulham to come and be a lot more tight, a lot more defensive.
Yeah.
That, to me, suggests maybe pace wide isn't as important in this game. Right. But by the same token, I don't want Mbumo ferreting around amidst the center backs. So maybe I want a more physical guy up front, whether that's Cunha or just a tall guy like Sesko. But
interesting to see.
Interesting call, right? Yeah. So far, not hard to get the motivation up for City and Arsenal. Confirm the 11, just win friends and influence people just by not being Ruben Amorim.
Yeah.
But now is when Carrick earns his bacon, I think. All right, enough United. How about some quick hits instead?
Let's go, Gab.
2nd versus 3rd in La Liga, and you know who scores both goals for Real Madrid in a 2-0 win.
Yeah.
Jules, big result. Not sure it was a big performance too.
No, I would agree to that. I mean, the first half until it was pretty boring, I thought, and it needed Vini to do something a little bit special to cross the ball for Kylian, and then the penalty at the end to win 2-0. You didn't concede, I guess. And they're a very strong defense this season, maybe stronger than some people think they are. Probably most likely due to Courtois having, again, another very good season. The most important is, I guess, to win and keep winning. That win against Monaco, this win, even without being too convincing.
I'll say this. We can say it wasn't too convincing. They're still playing a very good team, a team that had rested.
But a team that never win big games, though. Okay. In the Champions League or in the league. They lose to everybody. Barca, Atletico,
that's been the history, but past performance isn't necessarily an indicator of future results. And they had left 9 guys out in midweek, right? So they were keyed in on this game. They'd rested everybody.
Yeah.
Obviously, in the Champions League, they're useless.
Yeah.
And even then, Gerard Moreno, 2 good chances. One of them especially. I don't know. I don't like Danny Parejo, but man, that guy can pass the ball.
Yeah. Really
also, on the goal, I don't know. Pep Gay doesn't. I mean, great run from Vini. Pep Gay doesn't sort his feet out.
No, I know.
And then the ball just sits there for Kylian.
Yeah.
The second one is obviously a brain fart from Pedraza, and that was in garbage time anyway.
True.
But what I liked about Real Madrid is I saw, and maybe just the Arbeloa effect, shouting him. I saw people working hard. Yeah. Not everybody, but
same against Monaco.
Bellingham as well. Bellingham, I thought, really ran in this game. And I think that's what they need right now.
Love the Panenka from Kylian. Obviously, with Brahim Diaz, come on for the last minutes.
Yeah, you had to troll him, didn't you?
It's a tribute, not a troll. Gabi, has happened. Bayern Munich have lost their first Bundesliga game in 10 months. First one this season, falling at home in the derby against Augsburg, 2-1.
Yeah, so I'm glad you got this out of the way, and now you can move on and rattle off another 15, 20.
Yeah.
I thought they were very good in the first half, and then chickens came home to roost. I don't think it helps when I think 4 of your back 5 are people who have hardly played this season, because you had Davies, you had Hiroki Ito, you had Jonas Erbig, who was obviously at fault for the goal. That didn't help. Leonard Carl coming down to earth. I thought he did nothing, which is fine. You're 17 years old. Musiala's back.
Like that, yeah.
You're not going to have the same intensity now. They have a Champions League gimme in midweek.
Yeah.
And just take a week off, rest, get Musiala stronger, get Davies stronger, and then come back and worry about the rest of the season. Sorry for bringing up all those goals records you could have broken and can still break.
They were still breaking. It's still a bit disappointing to see how poor they were in the second half, though.
Yeah, but don't read too much into it.
No,
it's Derby magic. Erling Haaland, Phil Foden, and Jeremy Doku start on the bench, and Manchester City roll to a 2-0 win over Wolves to pull within 4 points, Jules.
Yeah, I have to be honest, I didn't think it was that great of a performance from City point of view. They scored super early with Marmoush on the cross by Mateus Nunes, and then there was a lovely goal by Semenyo. I like his first touch a lot. Right foot, left foot finish. That worked. He hit the crossbar later on his own again, but collectively against a team that is obviously not very good, I was just not really that enthusiastic about.
I think they were good in the first half, and probably should have had that penalty as well.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, after the break, we didn't see too much.
No. Gab, let's celebrate the other team within 4 points of the leader. Unai Emery's Aston Villa, a huge win away at Newcastle.
Okay, so as you know, I don't understand Unai Emery, how he can keep doing this again and again, what his voodoo is. I've had very smart people telling me that Boubacar Kamara is essential. He's a secret to this team. And the guy gets injured, and they keep winning. Yeah. Oh, no, it's John McGinn. John McGinn's a secret to this team. He gets injured,
I mean, they didn't win again. What? They didn't win without them last weekend, though.
It's fine, but this weekend they did.
This weekend they did.
They did away to Newcastle. This game could have gone the other way if Sandro Tonali scores, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, we saw.
But, come on. To keep going like this. Sure. And I think part of what he did was he brings his wingers inside, so he's got more people in midfield, and Eddie Howe doesn't adjust. And it seems simple after the fact. But you have to teach your guys to do it while keeping your balance. And he obviously does that very, very well. And a shout out again. Okay, Emi Buendia scored as a great goal, whatever. Morgan Rogers is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. He's not going to win Player of the Year because I don't have a vote.
Not yet.
But, man. Yeah, honestly, in terms of difference makers, there's not. You can count on one hand.
Because the cross for the second goal in the end didn't make a difference. But the cross is Ding to Watkins. But the ball from Rogers to Ding, for me, makes that goal. It's a wonderful ball. After a game where he's run so much and worked so hard, to still have the lucidity to find Ding like he did, it's just brilliant. I love him.
Tremendous football.
He will start for England in the World Cup. I'm telling you right now.
Tommy T, make it happen. Jules, we're not done. We have more quick hits.
Yes.
Amin Adli condemns Liverpool to a 3-2 defeat at Bournemouth with the last touch of the game. That's what you call a buzzer-beating three-pointer, even though it was from about, 3 inches away. Jules, this is not a good performance from Liverpool.
With the ball, attacking-wise, again, the same kind of boxing midfield, if you want. This time it was Gakpo and Salah, and not Ekitike and Salah, as we saw in Marseille in the Champions League. Not working out for Mo Salah. I mean, we said it on Monday. We repeat it on Thursday. We repeat it today. Not good with the ball, really. 2 goals on set pieces. Van Dijk with his back. Szoboszlai on a free kick.
Yeah, 2 shots on target, I'll tell you that.
And then defensively, a horror show from Virgil van Dijk himself, involved in all 3 goals. The mistake on the first one, covering on the second, when they were with 10 men, because they didn't think, hey, we've got 1 player injured, that's 1 player less. Let's kick the ball out into the sea, make the substitution, and they're coming on, and then we'll be back to 11 against 11.
Do you know how long they played with 10 minutes? 10 men. 7 minutes.
It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous.
I'm sorry, that is onslaught.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess maybe on leadership players on the pitch who could also see it and do it. And then Van Dijk on the 3rd goal, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what Curtis Jones is doing by blocking his own captain. It's a mess, absolute mess of a 3rd goal. Alisson, I know it was raining and windy, but the ball slipping. It was such a bad game and a bad goal to concede. Yeah, 5 days left in the transfer window. Do Liverpool need to do something? Of course they do.
Of course they do. And look, I'm hoping, given that we both know the people in charge of the recruitment, I certainly have a lot of time for Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes. I'm assuming they're plotting something brilliant in the last 5 days. And I'm assuming, giving the benefit of the doubt, that there is a very good reason why whatever they're plotting hasn't happened on January 1st and why they've waited and played all these games in the middle. But let me make this very, very, very simple. They were a defender down in the summer. We know this because they tried to sign Mark Gay on the last day of the transfer window. And halfway through his MRI, the deal collapsed. Yeah. So clearly they thought they needed a guy then. Yeah. And after that, their defender, Leone, gets injured, misses the whole season. So now you're 2 defenders down. Yeah. Then Connor Bradley gets injured. Now you're 3 defenders down. What's the solution? Oh, I know. Let's send Robertson away. No, unfortunately, now it looks like he's staying. Yeah. You're 3 defenders down.
And Gomez got injured in that ball.
Gomez got injured. Guy always gets injured. He'll be back, I presume, but whatever. I'm not saying you should panic. Maybe you got something brilliant, and there's a good reason why to wait till the end.
But I can't believe they haven't signed anybody yet. I won't lie. I can't believe
So
it.
you think they've signed somebody and then
No. I can't believe they haven't signed anybody right now. We are January 26th
Right.
today, right?
If
had
nobody comes
26
in,
days.
if nobody comes in, they need to sit there and again they need to reevaluate everything. What went wrong?
Unless there's no
Because
money left, maybe.
money doesn't just disappear like that.
No, I
That's
know.
not how
I
football
know,
works.
I know.
Top versus bottom in La Liga, and Barcelona beat Oviedo 3-0. Jules, one shot on target in the first half.
Yeah.
Two Oviedo gifts and a Lamine wonder strike
Yeah.
in the second half. Hansi Flick's not going to be pleased with this. This is
No,
Barcelona
probably
without
not,
Pedri.
but I know, but it's a Champions League week. You've played a lot. It's a game where the first half was poor, very poor. I mean, credit to Oviedo because they made it difficult. They had a couple of shots from long range. Nothing really to worry the Barcelona defense, but it was there. And then you're right, two absolute gifts where Oviedo tried to play from the back. And I was thinking, you're in the game well, just don't make any mistakes now. And then you make a mistake. And it's still a good finish by Dani Olmo in the first one, like to the millimeter. And then it's a gift that you give to Rafinha 1-1 with the keeper. He's never going to miss that. But I guess, again, maybe you just take the win if you're Hansi Flick and you move on to the next one.
You're playing with fire.
Che Daniel this is the show. Now we talk about a good performance. As Juventus hammer Napoli 3-0, Gauss Spalletti therapy is working. They're 1 point out of third place.
Yep, and a lot of people have egg on their face right now. Oh, where are all these people who are destroying Jonathan David? Oh, David's not good enough, blah,
And
blah,
a standing
blah.
ovation when he came
And
off.
so he
I
should.
love that,
And so should
yeah.
Weston McKennie, was a monster in this game.
Kefren Turam too. He ran that.
Kefren Turam in midfield. Locatelli, that little assist.
Yeah.
The guy who supposedly can't pass water.
Yeah.
And by the way, at the back in the defense, since Bremer's been back, this has been the best defense in Serie A. Now, all that said, we have to grade on a curve.
Yeah,
Napoli, 6 starters out.
Yeah.
They give up that. Juan Jesus makes that stupid mistake just as they're 1-0 down there. Looks like they might somehow be getting back into the game. I feel for them. You have to feel for them.
Yeah.
Guti Romero scores a late equalizer for Spurs, and they escape with a point at Burnley. Jules, they still getting booed.
Yeah. Stevie Nicol and I disagreed on the FC show on Saturday night. They had chances, and Dubravka had a really good game for Burnley in goal. I get that. I felt a lot of it was just individual brilliance. A lot of it from Odobert, who I thought was outstanding in what he did with the ball. I didn't think it was particularly good performance from Spurs, who were 30 seconds away from losing to a team that haven't won since October, and are one of the worst teams that we've seen in recent years in the Premier League. So I understand the frustration, again, from 3,000 Spurs fans who travel from London or from wherever they live all the way to Burnley. I'm sorry, this was not good enough. Overall, performance, results, the way the game went, the way you defended. The second goal from Burnley is such a bad sequence of defensive football from Tottenham and from Romero, Danso, Van de Ven, the wing backs, the defensive midfield, everybody. It was horrendous.
Yeah, the other Burnley goal, I think it was Foster, when Jaden Anthony, he does the little ankle
that's the
breaker
one,
and puts
second
Mickey
goal,
Van de Ven on his butt.
Yeah,
like
but all
like
over
this
all
guy's
over the place.
like a combination of Neymar and Allen Iverson rolled into one. Are you kidding me?
I don't think the back five works for them.
And I'll tell you what. We know Van de Ven and Romero. Romero's a world champion. Van de Ven, whatever, he's big, tall, and athletic and runs. And these are not bad defenders.
No.
These are people who are bad defending badly. And that, I think, goes back to the system. Yeah. And that goes back to the man with two first names.
Yeah, I agree. Chelsea beat Crystal Palace 3-1 away as Estevao shines and referee Darren England confuses everyone.
Yeah, so that's a reference to the third goal. We're going to get Chelsea's performance out of the game. Out of the way first, it was good. Estevao was really good. I don't see how Estevao with the ball can outrun Tyreek Mitchell, who is extremely fast without the ball. I mean, the guy's got maturity, he's got talent, he's got athleticism. Estevao's fantastic. I don't think you want to get too carried away if you're Chelsea, because you were dicing already with certain things. Like Moises Caicedo, I thought was lucky to stay on the pitch.
Yeah.
And he is your other best player.
Yeah.
The Cole Palmer, on the other hand, again, MIA. Is he injured? Is he not there? A lot of questions for Rose Senior. The Darren England one, this was the penalty he awarded, which Enzo Fernandez converted. The ball hits the defender in the arm, but the arm is right by his side.
Yeah.
That is not, I don't understand
I don't
why
know.
VAR called him.
Because he didn't give it in the first place.
I didn't give it.
No.
Bro, just stick to your decision.
I know.
Like, what is this nonsense? And then he says like, "Oh, it was a handball, but it was accidental, so you're only getting a yellow card." I mean, if you're a Palace fan, you feel like are you?
Well, they
trolling
cheered
me
when
here?
he said
Yeah.
it's intentional. So, and then everyone thought, okay, no penalty.
It feels like that was never a penalty, in my view.
Me too.
Marseille roll past Lens 3-1, which is good news for Paris
Thank you.
Saint-Germain. Jules Ethan Nwaneri, even
Yeah.
thrown in straight away, right? This is Marseille. It's
Yeah.
an intense game, big game. You're coming off a humiliation at home. He gets thrown at the deep end with Quinton Timber, and he scores a phenomenal goal.
Yeah, I could only play 55 minutes, which is what he played. Scored after 13. A pure Nwaneri goal if you haven't seen it. Because if you don't know it's him, you would know it's him, if you see what I mean. Outstanding he was. I'd bigged him up massively in the French media in the days before these games since he signed. So I was hoping for a big performance. He gave it. There's much more to come because he's clearly short of match fitness as well. But a big win for them.
And big win for Marseille too, who rotated,
massive win.
obviously, because they got that
Massive
big
win.
game against Bruges coming up in midweek.
Yeah,
so
as well,
Greenwood
yeah,
didn't start. And whatever.
staying very much in the title race too. Roma and Milan battled to a 1-1 draw on Sunday night. Allegri looked pleased. Should he be, Gab?
No, he should not be. I mean, he is pleased because look, I got a draw against Roma, which means
It's a
they
Magic
only
Mike
got 1
miracle,
point.
though.
So I move ahead. They were atrocious in the first half.
Yeah.
Magic Mike had to save the ball a million times.
Yeah.
Daniel Malen could have had 2 hat tricks, not 1.
Yeah.
Whatever. You take the lead, then concede a penalty, and you can sit and argue about the penalty, but I thought it was legit. I mean, the penalties like that get called.
Yeah.
This is not a good performance. You need to go. You don't play. You play once a week. I expect more from
true,
you,
true.
and you can't go on like this.
Yeah.
This was way back on Friday, but how about Paris Saint-Germain going back to the top of the table thanks to that man, Speedy Barcola?
Yeah, I mean, it was about time he finally scored a goal, and he
Oh,
was not.
come
No,
on.
No.
Come
Trust
on,
me.
there's competition. There's Doué and
No.
Dembele and
Trust me.
Kvaratskhelia.
Trust me.
And he's still
trust me.
speedy.
No, trust me. He hasn't been good, but good for him to score, and he got even a bit lucky. Not a good performance from PSG with a few players rested as well for the game against Newcastle in the Champions League. Even Luis Enrique saying they're a bit short of confidence, which is true. I think the most important was to win, and they did. And then Marseille did them a favor, as we saw earlier. So
How do you get? You're literally the current Champions League champions. I always find it fascinating how the mind of an athlete works. How do you suddenly get? How do you get short of confidence?
in terms of he meant in front of goals, so there's enough chances
To the
created.
forwards, you mean?
Yeah, and there's not enough quality probably in front of goal. They've signed, or they're about to announce.
We're going to get to that.
Yeah, so I guess that's a good thing for them for sure. Also on Friday, Inter go 5 clear at the top as they come from 2 goals down to hammer Pisa 6-2. Gav, Jan Sommer under fire.
Yeah, which is easy. Let's go and pick on the old guy whose contract is expiring, blah, blah, blah. And let's nitpick about the 2 goals. One of them I thought was a tremendous goal.
Yeah, it was,
incidentally. But yeah, look, they come back. They do exactly what
They were
they're
always
supposed
going
to
to
do.
come back.
I don't know. We've seen them. We've seen them. There's a
I
difference
know,
too.
but-
They're coming back to 2-2 or 3-2 and coming back and saying, no, screw this. We're going to score 6.
Yeah, true.
All over the place. By the end, Pisa melted away. Di Marco, phenomenal. Ballon d'Or Lautaro scoring. Esposito scoring. And again, they do all this without Çalhanoğlu, which I think makes a difference, especially in a game like this against a defender. Because the team's 2 goals up, they're going to go and, they're going to sit tight, right? So it's good. It builds confidence. And now let's see what they can do against Borussia Dortmund in midweek. Atletico de Madrid beat Mallorca 3-0 at home as the only living Sorlot in captivity gets on the score sheet once more.
Yeah.
Jules back into 3rd place. But again, this game was in the balance until the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, when the last 2 goals came, I didn't think the first half was too bad. To be fair, it's another goal by Sorlot. Griezmann injury that he picked up at training on Friday, I think is a bit of a blow because it just gives you something else off the bench if you need to, or for the first hour, especially with
Of course, Raspadori now gone.
and
So
Julian Alvarez, especially the ones who's misfiring right now massively.
9 games, I think, without a goal for Julian
it's bad.
Alvarez.
And it's, like we said, I think on Thursday, it's not just so much the fact that he doesn't score, it's there's just nothing else really in his game right now, which has to be a worry. Borussia Dortmund roll back from Champions League defeat at Spurs with a 3-0 win against Union Berlin, Gab.
Again, maturity, right? I please tell me if I'm giving Niko Kovac too much credit, right? But Dortmund were a team in need of serious therapy, right? So
Yeah,
you go to Spurs, you're like, haha, yeah, Spurs, they're terrible. Thomas Frank, we're going to destroy them. And then Daniel Svensson gets sent off in the first half, a bit unlucky, and you lose. And then you've got this problem because you have to go and get a result against Inter. And so what does he do? He rests Brandt and
big
Adeyemi,
rest.
who are his starters, right? It's not like he's bringing in Muppets off the bench, but he's bringing in Fabio Silva, whose hair makes him look a little bit.
Yeah, him and Guirassy playing together.
And Bayer.
And Bayer, yeah, a great goal.
So they go, they're a goal up, but it's nervy. And in the end, they not just pull it out, but they add to it. Union Berlin, I think, in those circumstances, that was not a straightforward game. They showed maturity. I think this builds confidence going into the Inter game. It's a hat trick for Endrick as Lyon stomp Metz away 5-2. Jules, quite the start to his Liga career. They'll be happy from Madrid to Sao Paulo.
Yeah, incredible. He's the... so it's not the first time that a player on his second game scored a hat-trick. I mean, there was Johan Odell, not that you remember, Gabby, but scored a hat-trick on his debut for Lille when he was quite young. However...
It's probably the first time an 18-year-old does it.
Endrick is the second youngest player to score a hat-trick in Ligue 1. And to be fair, he's in great company. It's only Jérémy Menez, Ousmane Dembélé, and Kylian Mbappe who scored a hat-trick at a younger age than Endrick in the French top flight ever. That is ever. Even, go back to the Platini time or the Copa time. So, or the Zidane time. So, outstanding performance. This is probably too easy for him. And, while watching that, it made me think that I know you would want to go straight to Real Madrid if you're a young Endrick, right? I get that. I completely understand that. But I think there's a case again, and this shows it, that not everybody might be ready for it straight away. And that sometimes a league like Ligue 1 is perfect to still learn about European culture, European football, and then a year there, maybe sometimes even 6 months will probably be enough. And then you're ready to go to Real Madrid or Barcelona or Bayern or Liverpool, Arsenal, City or whatever. Yeah. And I think that step up sometimes. And we see, I talked about somebody the other day about Echeverria City. Prime example.
Oh, when he wasn't he thrown in like an FA Cup semi-final or something?
And now he's going from loan to loan. And I do think that I can understand why you would want to go straight to Real Madrid. Of course I do. And we all do. But I think this shows as well that sometimes it's not a bad idea to have, even if it's just you sign for Real Madrid, but you go on loan somewhere else and then go to Real Madrid. But that kind of midway platform is often very important in your own development, especially as a young player.
I completely agree. And I think Real Madrid have their own examples of this. Rodrigo and Vinicius were not Rodrigo and Vinicius at 18 years old. Like they simply weren't.
Yeah.
They made a big leap forward later. So they were brought along more slowly. And yeah, I agree. I loved it after the game when he said, when he dedicated his hat trick to John Textor. And he says, everything I do it for you, JT. I thought that was really sweet, Endrick. I'm just kidding. It didn't happen. Might have happened in JT's head, but
I'm
not
sure
in
it
real
didn't
life.
happen in JT's head. Como destroyed Torino 6-0 and Gab, Nico Paz didn't have much to do with it even.
No, my favorite part, because obviously, look, guys, unless you were a Serie A fan or a relative of Cesc Fabregas, and he has many, you probably noticed every time we talk about Como, we mention Nico Paz.
Yeah.
Because simply put, with Yildiz and Ballon d'Or Lautaro, he's maybe the most exciting player in Serie A.
Yeah.
However, I love that they absolutely destroy Torino, like absurd XG, play them off the park, and Gazzetta dello Sport give ratings after the game, and they highlight the highest rating and the lowest rating. Nico Paz got the lowest rating.
That must be the first. That must be a first.
Yeah, he didn't score. I don't know if he had an assist, but it was fantastic. There's so many other players who are doing so well. Baturina, of course, who you remember from Dinamo Zagreb, I think it was.
In the Champions League,
He's definitely stepping up.
Yeah.
D'Acunha is reliable.
It's a great story, D'Acunha.
They found Duvikas as well, who, doing fine. Is like an eccentric Greek guy in La Liga, comes over and, and with all those guys passing him the ball, he does get a lot of service. He's scoring goals. So
and Cacré as well. I thought had a good performance when he came on.
Tremendous goal as well from Cacré.
Wonderful.
Now, help me figure this out, Jules. Liverpool have blocked Andy Robertson's transfer to Spurs. Now, I know that our friend Ben Davies has suffered a long-term injury, but they still have Jed Spence and Destiny Udogie.
Yeah.
And they just signed Souza from Santos, who's,
19,
yes, he's young, but he's 19. He has a full season. How many left backs do they need?
Maybe your friend with the two first names thought I could play with, left back, and then a left wing back, and then a left winger who are all left backs or something. I can maybe understand the need for the experience of Robertson from a Robertson point of view if he's guaranteed to play for Spurs, and he's not going to play much for Liverpool on a World Cup year with 4 months left to go in the season. Maybe you understand him wanting to leave to go to Spurs, maybe. But you're right. Right now, Spurs need like much more than just Andy Robertson as another left back, and yet that's not. They're not. There's just not. And Conor Gallagher has arrived, but apart from that, you would think that they would be far more active on the transfer window, and certainly looking for something else than another left back.
This whole thing was just absurd. Talk about like something that I think would have hurt both teams. You're Liverpool. You're doing this to save yourself $5 million in 6 months' wages. Yeah. Which, by the way, you're gonna have to bring in another body. Kirkus has no.
Tsimikas, yeah, probably.
So as you bring back Tsimikas from Rome, okay. Oh, here comes Roberto Carlos. Yeah. I mean, come on, man. Like, this makes no sense. But from the perspective, and the worst thing is, you saw the explanation in the papers about why they wanted Robertson, and when this happens, you get these the ITK transfer market guys. They get briefings from the club, and it's all like, but they don't put their name to it, but somebody at the club, it's literally their job to speak to them and say, this is our reasoning. And look, I think it's good that clubs do this. The problem is when the reasoning is so stupid. The reasoning in this case was, well, we only really have destiny because Sousa's too young to contribute anything. First of all, why are you signing this guy who's too young to contribute anything?
No, for the future.
When you don't know who your manager is going to be.
I know, but you don't want to let him go to another club if you believe in him. So
okay, sure. Yes, I believe in ghosts and goblins too. And then he's like, he wants to use Jed Spence to push Pedro Porro on the other flank. So Jed Spence, who's played left back, ahead of Destiny, who's had his fitness issues.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's have him go and play right back.
You have two right backs, the competition there, and then you'll have two left back, Udogie and Robertson as a competition there.
Well,
but I think that would be fine if that's all they needed.
But they have so many other priorities.
Exactly. That's where it doesn't add up. Chelsea have recalled Aaron Anselmino from his loan spell at Borussia Dortmund. Gab, what does that tell you?
Nothing. It doesn't mean he's going to get a game at Borussia Dortmund.
Why is this even in the quick hits?
Because Aaron Anselmino, there was a moment when, first of all, they spent real money for Aaron Anselmino. No, and because from a Chelsea perspective, this to me suggests, I could be wrong, no M. Jacquet's son. No, what was it? Is it Jeremy Jacquet? What? Jeremy Jacquet. Are they related? Because I see a physical resemblance. A little bit, yeah?
Just the size, the height, maybe. That's about it.
MJK was a center back, right?
It was, yeah. Yeah, he's tall and a bit lanky, but,
This because otherwise, why are you bringing this guy? Yeah, you already have Disasi taking up space.
Probably a million something.
And I guess he couldn't have gone to Strasbourg probably for some other reason. Again, I don't understand why they make this so...
Enough loanies maybe at Strasbourg.
I don't know, why make this so complicated? Send this guy to Strasbourg and bring Sarr from Strasbourg and don't mess around. Worry about Jacquet in the future. But Benoit Badiashile, by the way, the news might have unsettled him a little bit because he did not have a good
game against Palace.
Fulham beat Brighton 2-1 and are up to 7th in the table.
Wow.
Can we say this? Okay. Yeah, I want to say Marco Silva, okay. Yes, we like Andoni Raola because his great teams are fun. Marco Silva's not as much fun.
No.
But he's been really, really good for a really long time.
Very good.
Jules, they've bid $32 million for Ricardo Pepi.
Yeah, and I mean, at some point they were always going to go and get the next Raul Jimenez. He can't keep going on, even if it's not a bad season from his point of view. But Muniz is injured, so it makes sense for them. Would I have offered that for Ricardo Pepi, who's having a good season, by the way, at PSV, but more of an off-the-bench kind of impact?
And on a team that plays a very different brand of football.
In a league, as we know, that is quite difficult to transport or translate or transport or whatever your form in the Eredivisie into the Premier League, whether you're a coach or a player. I don't know. And he broke his arm not that long ago. Not that it makes a difference. He's going to come back soon. So let's see. If I was PSV, I would say a massive yes right now on that amount. They might get a little bit more if they reject these bids. But for Ricardo Pepi, if you have the chance to come and play in England in a team that is doing well and working well and creating chances for the number 9s and issue the Jimenez, you'd fancy your chance, I think.
Yeah, I think that's probably how they're selling him. And there's a wonderful subplot like, oh, Mexican center forward versus U.S. center
No,
forward.
we
World
like
Cup
that,
year.
ESPN, for sure.
I do kind of think if you're Pepe, you're going to go to the World Cup. Whether you start, I think Flo probably would start ahead of him.
Yeah, I
I would
agree.
imagine. I've been saying I'm not in charge.
Yeah.
There's other players, Hodgright, Sargent in the mix. But Pepe, you're going to go, right?
Yeah.
Are you better off, not saying taking it easy, still a young man, but like building up confidence, scoring goals against, Dutch teams with funny names and stuff,
Maybe,
coming off the
yeah.
bench, playing Champions League football, then going to a team where the football is going to be very different,
Yeah.
where, I mean,
But then if you-
Jimenez is good.
True.
You could be stuck on the bench behind
You
him.
could, but then also, and it's probably me, the forever positive guy, if you start and playing well and scoring for Fulham and have a very good next 3 months or so, then imagine the boost that it gives you going to the World Cup.
And enough to dislodge Flo.
Maybe. Yeah. Big win for West Ham, who defeats Sunderland 3-1 at the London Stadium Gap. They've also rejected a £36 million bid for Lucas Paqueta from Flamengo.
Yeah, so here's the thing. These bids don't come in unless Lucas Paqueta wants to leave.
Yeah,
And we know
I
he wants to
think-
leave.
Yeah,
right?
and they do too. West Ham.
And okay, fine. They're battling to avoid relegation. They're right down there, right?
Mhm.
You have to be super confident. For you to keep saying no, you have to be super confident that Flamengo can go higher. And I don't know that Flamengo can go higher. And super confident that
Yeah.
you're going to reinvest the Paqueta money in people who are going to keep you up. Because
Yeah.
that's by no means a foregone conclusion.
No, that's true.
So I'm really surprised that they've turned them down because clearly he's not in a situation where he wants to be there. Also, I've been told that Carlo Ancelotti has a list of nearly 100 names that
I
are still
bet,
in play
yeah.
for the World Cup. And I am 100% certain that Paqueta's in there. And I can tell you, Ancelotti's the kind of guy where if Paqueta stays fit, even if he doesn't play very much or whatever between now and the end of the season, he's going to take
He's
him.
going to go, yeah.
And then in training camp, he's going to have, he's going to give him a chance to win a starting job.
Yeah.
So if you're Paqueta, careful. Like you said, I want to go, fine. But if you stay, it's not the end of the world for you either. Barcelona starlet, Joe Fernandez.
Yes.
Will soon be learning French, Jules.
It will be, Gabby. The two clubs, PSG and Barcelona, have agreed a final fees. This is interesting because he had a release clause of €6 million. So anybody could have come in, given him the money because it's the player himself that has to bring the check. It's a weird rule, but anyway, bring the check to the Spanish league. And in their case, Barcelona felt this is too low for a player of his quality. I know he's only 18, but he's shown so many promises. They didn't want him to go. I don't know why then the release clause was so low. It's just because they thought he was going to extend his contract and they could have had a release clause at 100 million or something. The fact that he didn't feel that the pathway for him was very clear with the first team, he decided to go. I think he helped that his agent is De La Peña, who's also Luis Enrique's agent, and not just agent, but also best friend.
The little Buddha.
Little Buddha, exactly. PSG didn't want Barca to be cross, so they added, I think, 2 or 3 million euros to the release clause already. And that kind of gesture, I think, went a long way at Barcelona. So it will be announced soon. I think it looked on paper a great coup from PSG to get such a talented, promising young player. But again, he's still only 18. We haven't seen much of him. He played 5 games this season, I think, or 4 games. So we need to see a bit more. But just thinking about what Luis Enrique could do with a talent like this in the midfield that PSG have, I'm kind of excited already.
This is where the pathway is so important. We talked about Ethan Ranieri before.
Yeah.
Even if they had locked him up to a long contract, I can understand Dro looking around and saying, okay, well, in terms of where I play on the pitch, I've got Rafinha, I've got Fermin Lopez, I've got Gavi's going to be back at some point.
De Jong, all
like,
of that.
where am I going to fit in?
Yeah.
And your thinking is that they see him as an alternative maybe to Fabian Ruiz, something like that.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, that's the idea. And that's certainly what Luis Enrique, who had a big meeting with him at Christmas in Barcelona, like said to him, in that rotation, there will be some space and game time for you with, Zaire Emery, Neves, Vitinha, and Ruiz. And if you think there's probably more options now with him if he adapts quickly, which I think he will, to what PSG are going to do. The Champions Cup begins on Wednesday. Remember, we mentioned it on Monday's show as well. As Arsenal face Morocco's AS FAR and Corinthians take on Gotham FC. Sorry, Gab. Among the FIFA sponsors of this new competition is Michel Cain's company, Kiniska, and some are unhappy with it.
So they're unhappy with it because Michel Cain owns 3 football clubs.
Yeah, but none of them are in this competition, right? Right now?
No, but they play in FIFA competitions.
Yeah.
They will play. And this is a weird one. And I think if you own a football club and you're affected by it, and FIFA are in a position to see conflict of interest, FIFA will rule on issues related to the Washington Spirit or Lyon or what's it called, London City.
Yeah.
And they're getting money from you for their showpiece club. It's a weird one. On top of that, I don't know that there's any kind of. I mean, this is not a consumer-facing sponsor in the sense you can't go and buy some.
No, you're right. Yeah,
some Kiniska. It's like PIF, right? The Public Investment Fund. I can't go and buy stuff. So right. So this is just her saying, "Let me give you some money, so that we can grow this competition."
With nothing in return, really, right?
Yeah.
As in terms of publicity, or that's what I mean.
In terms of that.
Yeah.
So I think this stuff should be reviewed.
Mm-hmm.
And you see this a lot. You see like nonsense. Remember when I think it was Usmanov's family office sponsored like Everton's training ground back in the day. Like, guys, there's got to be a way of clarifying. I know in the end, like, the end justifies it. Bring in more money, give more money, support women's football. Yeah, there's got to be better ways of doing it than this. I'm sure it's not a lot of money because in the end, it's just a couple games.
Yeah.
But you want this to be successful. You want this to be credible, and you don't want other clubs being upset or annoyed.
Yeah, I agree.
More women's football. The inaugural FIFA Women's Club World Cup will likely be held in January 2028. Some European clubs are angry that it's disrupting the European club season.
Yeah, I think you can understand it. I mean, the men were not too happy really about the one in the summer, even if it was in the off season for most of the for the European leagues, but it kind of disturbed the balance of what your summer would be and your preseason and your preparation and then the start of the season. This is worse in a way because it's not in the off season, it's during. So it's that balance again of your schedule list and fixtures and calendar and all of that, which is never easy to manage. There was probably a better option surely than January, no?
So
let's be honest here.
I mean, yeah, you could do it in the summer during the men's Euros. Gee, isn't that great?
But even that, in terms of exposure, January is busy for men's football, with Champions League now happening in January as well.
It's less busy though because the Bundesliga is not playing.
Yeah, I guess.
And I think some of this is people like club game versus this is the kind of club versus country debate because frankly, I think it's January 5th through January 28th. I mean, Women's Super League, right? Most important. Most competitive women's league in the world, probably, right? They play 22 games?
Yeah.
So you can't organize your schedule in such a way that you don't play games in January, which, by the way, when it's cold, the Bundesliga, who have the highest attendance in men's football, they manage to not play at all, right? For like 6 weeks. I don't, this is the part that, like, when people talk about, too much football, fixture congestion, blah, blah, blah. Hey, look, take a freaking break halfway through the season.
Yeah.
Like, in exchange for what? In exchange for something that can really grow the women's game on a global level. Because, like, the reality is the Club World Cup, the Men's Club World Cup, with all the controversy, whatever around it, men's football has a 100-year head start over women's football, right? The one competition you think everybody agreed made sense was a Women's Club World Cup because you have legitimately competitive teams from North America. So how about you get behind this for the good of women's football as a whole, rather than like now, oh no, how's it going to impact the Women's Super League? You only play 22 games.
I know. A study by accounting firm BDO reveals that a surprisingly high number of English clubs make an operating loss every year, Gab.
Yeah, it's not surprising to me. I've been saying this. We've been saying it. If you're a regular listener, this is not surprising, BDO. The problem is people keep forgetting about this. 90% of clubs, professional clubs, they found, in England make an operating loss. Now, it's not a paper loss because then what happens is you go and through the magic of amortization and player trading, you show a paper profit, but that's all it is, a paper profit. But this tells you that 90% of clubs effectively at the end of the season have to either have their owners put their hands in their pocket and put it into the club, or they have to take on more debt on the club. This is not healthy. This is not sustainable. And guess what? The situation is probably worse in other European leagues and in South America and wherever else, right? So, and some things needs to be done. Please work on it. Trinity Rodman has signed a new contract with the Washington Spirit in NWSL. Jules, this is pretty huge for a league that was losing stars to Europe.
Yeah, I think on the ESPN website we said is the one that could not get away, really, that they had to keep almost at all cost, not because she's very good to start with, but because, as you said, a few stars were coming to Europe. She was out of contract, so anything could have happened. She's become the second highest earner in women's football in the whole world, or even the top, if you believe Barcelona or no, who's saying that Aitana is still the best, the highest earner. It doesn't really make a difference. She's amazing. She deserved a big contract. She got it by staying in her club, where things have worked well for her. So this is good. I think it's good for the US women national team as well.
Let's explain why this is relevant, though, because this was NWSL, like a lot of American sports. They have a salary cap. Washington Spirit said, well, we can't go over it. Or the league said to the Spirit, we're willing to pay her this. They came up with some very complicated formula. The HIP, the high impact player, where you need to meet certain criteria. What I find hilarious about this is to be a high impact player, you have to meet these criteria. Some of these criteria include being named to ESPN's top 100 women soccer players in the world, which you're on the panel for that.
So the Bible of women's football, you know?
Exactly. Or the Guardian's top 50, or Sports Pro Media's top 150 most marketable athletes. When she met all those criteria. But I don't know. It just feels so stupid that it's done on this. If you want to have this, say, all right, you're going to have one player on each team.
Do a DP,
and you just pay him as much as you want. Like make it simpler. And I know sustainability, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know.
It might come to that. FIFA President Gianni Infantino, it's a long time since we have spoken about him, was in Davos where US President Donald Trump unveiled his Board of Peace, GAP. Gianni was not the only familiar football figure there.
And in fact, Johnny was in the front row. Again, he would say FIFA can play an important part in bringing peace to the world, blah, blah, blah. And the guy he gave the FIFA Peace Prize to, of course, is in charge of the Board of Peace. But Khaldoun al-Mubarak was up on stage. And according to the documents, he's representing the United Arab Emirates, which is interesting because, of course, he's also the chairman of Manchester City. And the club has gone out of their way to say, no. We're just owned by the royal family of Abu Dhabi. We're not part of, the Emirati government. And yet wearing his other hat, he does this. I don't know. FIFA can play a role for peace, blah, blah, blah. Probably best you don't sit there in the front row when something like this happens.
I see what you mean.
And FIFA also has a lot of initiatives historically with the United Nations. A lot of people are seeing this as, the United Nations stinks and we don't like it, so let's make a board of peace. So again, he's clearly believes he needs to or wants to go and take certain positions just by being there. And I think that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. Whether it's justified or not, I guess we'll find out. Jules, this brings us to an end. But we got to come back on Thursday. Final verdicts in the group stage of the Champions League. It's going to be a big one. Until then, love the game, love your neighbor, love yourself.